this is a necessity. You absolutely must carry this with you on a firing range, out hunting, wherever you might be. You should have one of these. So here's the issue. We like shooting guns. Projectiles can be dangerous if not pointed in a safe direction, right? Like, I mean, they poke holes in things. That's what they're designed to do, unless stopped by a dirt berm or a steel target or something like that. What we never want to happen is for a projectile to be stopped by a human. It just makes good sense. First aid, it should be part of your everyday carry when it comes to being on the gun range, especially if you go to public ranges. I'm sure you know exactly what I mean. It seems like all the crazies are at the public ranges. So what we've got today is the Cole-Tac Seersack. For all intents and purposes, this is a fancified version of a fanny pack. But what I use it for is for carrying an Ifak, an individual first aid kit. And I'm gonna just pack this one out today and show you what I put in it, and encourage you to please pick up something like this, the SERE Sack from Cole-Tac, again PRN 10. Check the description down below the video. You can get 10% off of any order from Cole-Tac. Pack it out with at least this minimum amount of gear that I'm gonna go over today, and carry this with you on the range. You just never know when you might need life-saving equipment for yourself or for somebody else. So, first things first, the SERE Sack. Comes in a bunch of different colors. Obviously, it's nice, heavy Cordura. It's all been handmade in-house by Cole-Tac. You've got some MOLLE type straps down here on the bottom that you can connect some things to. Double zippers with kind of paracord pulls here, just a standard pocket on the outside of the bag, which is where I kind of put my boo-boo kit. We'll talk about that in a second. On the back, we've got all the sewn type of area. We've got a belt here, strap that you can lengthen, even goes out to fat kid sizes like me. And in the main pouch then is where we keep all of the goods. And in here, we've got the little card. Emily, thank you for making my Seersack. So in here you've got hook and loop or Velcro just on the inside. And if you've ever messed with kind of more extensive medical pouches, oftentimes you have pouches within pouches that are specific to different types of trauma or injury or something that you might be working on. So this is kind of nice because you could get Velcro backed smaller pouches that just slap in and attach to these panels inside. So you can reach in, grab the specific pouch that you need out of the slightly larger sack. So first things first is to get you a container, something like this. I highly recommend this one. It fits all this stuff perfectly and it just fits right into the bag. Also, another little tip is to just make sure it's a different color than everything else. Like all of my other shooting equipment is all multicam because best camo, like, I don't know. It makes sense for the first aid bag to be red, in my opinion, and it just sticks out. Like if I need to see it, there it is. It's the bright red one. It's the only bright red one in the bag. Kind of common sense. All right, so these cost around 70 to 75 to 80 bucks, depending on what color scheme you get. So first things first, and I think probably when we're talking about gunshot wounds, the most important thing to have, and that is a tourniquet. Now, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to give you any kind of definitive answers on how to apply these, when, or how long to leave them, or any of that kind of stuff. You need to go get solid, competent medical instruction from, a reputable source. But one thing I can tell you is that you want to stage your tourniquet in a way that as soon as you take it out of the bag and remove kind of the rubber band or whatever's connecting it here, that it can easily be placed on whatever extremity is bleeding out. And also another tip would be to make sure you get one with a metal windlass instead of a plastic one, because under pressure and cranking down, I have seen the plastic windlass bars break and just bend and not be good. So a metal windlass If you're curious, this is the Soft T Wide Gen 4. I can highly recommend this one. I think these come pretty highly recommended. So we've got Tourniquet. Next thing is just a bandage. Not an ace bandage, just an emergency bandage that can be wrapped. It can be made into kind of a triangular type bandage. It's not triangular in shape, but it can be made into a bandage that you can sling up an arm. You know what I mean? You can just wrap up wounds and kind of hold blood in and debris and things out. That's kind of what that's for, right? We've got a couple of packs of Quick Clot, and don't get the granular stuff like this. Again, this kind of comes down to common sense for me, but if it's not said, then some people don't know. Quick Clot is a substance that you can put into heavily bleeding wounds that helps clot up, or, you know, just kind of stop up the blood flow. But if you think blood flow is flowing out, and if it's flowing out at a rapid rate, the little granule powdery type Quick Clot is just going to get pushed out with the blood flow if the blood flow is coming out very quickly. So I would suggest to get the pad type, you know, just the gauze type Quick Clot. You can shove it down into the wound and it's not going to come back out. You can put another one on top. I carry a couple of those in the pack with me. And then we've just got some sterile gauze pads, which, you know, this is pretty common just for kind of mid-level wounds, or you just need to add some more bandages in on top of other things and wrap it all up or tape it all up. Just some more sterile gauze pads. Hyphen chest seals. Now, this, again, common sense. I love common sense. Hyphen chest seals, carry 2 of them, because if there's a bullet hole going into the chest cavity, there's likely going to be a bullet hole coming out of the chest cavity. And, you know, basically anytime there's a hole in the chest cavity, you need to cover that sucker up. And a couple of chest seals like this, one for the front, one for the back, you know, or multiple holes on one side, or whatever the case may be. These are really good to have in there as well. Now, additional, yeah, I probably should have mentioned it first, but rubber gloves. And I would not get latex. There's too many people with allergies running around these days, so I would go with something like the nitrile style gloves. And I've got some shears in here, trauma shears, just basic. And this is just really for cutting away clothing, getting it out of the way so that you can operate on a person, you know. But it's just really for removing clothing or cutting bandages or tape or whatever you might need. And lastly, I'm gonna get into the boo-boo kit. And this is kind of how I pack this thing out, right? So a boo-boo kit is different than a blowout kit. You've got major injury there, you've got minor injury here. So this outer slot, I can put things for minor injuries, you know, like Band-Aids, like first aid, antibiotic, ointment, Neosporin, got Advil, Tylenol, that kind of thing. Got some super glue, because some cuts don't necessarily need stitches, but maybe they're right on the line between stitches and not super glue. It's basically the exact same stuff. Like if you went to the ER and they were like, well, I'm not sure we really need stitches, but we need to keep this from bleeding, and so we're just gonna glue it. It's basically the same stuff. So I keep all of that in my boo-boo kit, kind of on the outside, actually, and the tape. So I've got some tape here too that I forgot to mention. That all goes in the outside pocket on the Seersack from Cole-Tac. And then of course, we put things into the Seersack kind of in the order where we think we might need to grab them. Now, if you wanted to organize them onto these Velcro backers, you wanted to put little straps in there so that things could kind of stand up vertically in a very orderly way, that's cool. I just figured there's not really enough stuff here that I'm gonna have to worry about grabbing. That's gonna, you know, take extra time. I'll just be able to look in there, I'll see what I need immediately, and I'll just grab it. As far as I'm concerned then, you know, I'm gonna put probably things like the chest seals are gonna kind of go up against one side. The Quick Clot's gonna go up against there. The gauze pads, just stacking these in a way like that. The bandages. The tourniquet. The gloves right up top. And the shears. So quickly accessible on all of them, and again, everything fits nicely. I'm having trouble getting it to fit nicely. There we go. Throw this in your pack, attach it to the bottom. That's what I do with mine. I just use the MOLLE strapping and I just attach it to the bottom of my range bag, and this goes with me wherever I go. This is a necessity. You absolutely must carry this with you on a firing range, when you're working around firearms, out hunting, wherever you might be. You should have one of these. If you don't, shame on you, seriously, you should have one. And so, again, check out the SERE Sack from Cole-Tac, PRN10, get you 10% off, and carry this or die. I mean, you know, you could.